It's a week before you lead your first Socratic discussion. Time to prepare. But where to begin? It seems overwhelming. A sweat breaks out as you realize you don't know where to start. Welcome to Survival Strategies for Socratic Leaders, a series of videos to equip and inspire you to become a powerful Socratic discussion leader. My name's Jeff Sandefer. For over 20 years, I've led Socratic discussions for MBA students at the University of Texas and the Acton School of Business, for business executives around the world and young people of all ages at the Acton Academy in Austin, Texas. For the next few minutes, we'll explore the three most important areas of preparation for a Socratic discussion. First, preparing the studio. Second, setting the learning contract. And finally, crafting the launch, questions, and summary you'll need to make your discussions sizzle. If I've learned one thing in the hundreds of Socratic discussions I've led, it's this. No matter how good the dilemma or how talented the participants, without the proper preparation, your discussions will fall flat. Let's start with preparing the studio. Chris Christensen of the Harvard Business School once said that all great Socratic discussions begin with great architecture, the architecture of the classroom. With a small group, the studio setup doesn't matter as much. With 25 participants, the architecture does matter. With 100 or more, the layout is critical. Here are the essentials. You want participants to be able to talk directly to each other. That way you can ask a powerful question and get out of the way. Seat participants in a horseshoe shape angled towards the front. Make sure that each has a sight line to the whiteboards. For larger groups, you might want to make several rows, the first perhaps sitting on the floor, the second on short stools, and the third on taller bar stools, so that each person can see the other. Second, have as many whiteboards as possible in the front. On one, you may want to write the rules of engagement. On another, capture the choices you're going to give to participants, yes or no, invest or quit, as a way to signal the argument you want people to take. Finally, remove all distractions. Pick a quiet studio. Ask for all cell phones to be left outside. Ask participants to close their laptops and take all the objects out of their hands. Once you have the studio set, it's time to set the learning contract. A voluntary agreement that will govern your time together, the level of preparation, participation, and respect that's expected, and the consequences for violating group norms. The goal is to describe explicit roles for the participants and the discussion leader. For example, what are the rules of engagement? Will you strive to listen, build, offer evidence, and be concise? Is each person expected to participate? Is the reading material beforehand and taking a stand required to attend? Anything else? When it comes to the learning contract, a written covenant signed with great ceremony is better than an implicit agreement. If you have time, it's better for the group to develop the norms rather than to simply have them presented for a vote. You may want to even send the covenants along with an invitation to the discussion and make agreeing to it and preparing a condition for admission. No matter what, you'll want to include real consequences. The right to ask participants to restate or require evidence, or the right to survey the group afterwards, and on a 1 to 5 scale, ask each participant to rate the others. The results to be publicly posted afterward. Whatever you decide, make sure you start with an explicit covenant that sets the rules of engagement and what's expected. Finally, you'll need to prepare for the discussion itself. Yes, you'll want a launch that links today's debate to previous discussions and a larger context. You'll want an opening question that makes participants take a stand. And you'll want a scripted ending, after you ask for lessons learned, that asks a deeper question or foreshadows the next discussion. But most of all, you'll want questions that provoke a heated discussion, even an argument. Your goal is to force a black and white decision. Do you invest or walk away? In a life or death situation, do you save the elderly man or the 5-year-old child if you cannot save them both? How to prepare great questions? First, examine the dilemma at hand and write down every decision or question you can imagine. Make a long list. Now choose the most important and difficult decision facing the protagonist. This will be your opening question. Then from your list, choose 3 questions that seem to matter the most, the big ones, the important ones. These will be your anchor questions. Cull out a few more of the questions you've listed that seem intriguing to you and put them on a list. These will be your pocket questions. To pull out, you may ask them in between the anchor questions, if you have time. For each major question, look for a way to make the positions more extreme and vivid. For example, instead of invest or walk away, make it mortgage your house to invest, or walk away and take a job at the post office and spend the rest of your life in a government-owned cubicle. You want people to take extreme positions to raise the energy. The more extreme the choices, the higher the energy. Force participants to choose. If you believe the answer to a dilemma is obvious, don't lead with it. Your job is not to orchestrate the group to agree with you. It's to provoke a fight. Eliminate any vague questions. What do you think about World War II is sure to sap energy? It's a vague question. Would you have hidden your Jewish neighbor from the Gestapo even if it put your family in danger? Is a Socratic question because it forces a difficult choice. Finally, now that you have your questions, create a plan with a launch, your 3 anchor questions, in an order that makes sense to you, and a close. Allow 5 minutes or so for the launch and the opening question. Depending on the length of the discussion, allow between 5 and 20 minutes each for your anchor questions, and 10 minutes or so to wrap up. As soon as the discussion begins, this plan may go out the window because the discussion belongs to the participants, but at least you'll have it as a fallback plan if energy begins to lag. Prepare the studio. Create a clear learning contract for preparation, participation, and the rules of engagement. Craft some wicked questions that will provoke a fight. Now you're ready for a high-energy Socratic discussion. Good luck.